Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. Good to be with you again. Hope you're having a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day here. Sun shining, a little crisp on the temperature, but that's going to go up. It's just a great day to see the majesty and the beauty of God all around us. And I hope you can see the same. And this morning I have a passage that talks about walking with God, seeing Him, being close to Him. It comes from Hebrews chapter 12. And beginning with the first verse and part of the second. It says here, therefore, we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith. Let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Well, the writing to the Hebrews here says that since we are surrounded by a huge crowd of witnesses, you and I are surrounded by people of faith. We really are. Maybe we don't recognize them, but they're everywhere. They're all around. Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. They are just there when we need them. And it says that since that's the case, let us strip off every weight that slows us down. Now, my son was or is a retired professional track and field athlete. And when he ran, man, I tell you, he had the least amount of baggage you could have. His shoes were light as a feather. His onesie, I think, or whatever it was called, was skin tight and designed so that air would flow around it with minimum friction. And he learned how to control his body so that the maximum force forward is what he got with every step. Olympic swimmers do that. They wear a bathing suit that's that's designed along with shark skin to minimize the friction. They do everything they can to minimize the forces that would slow them down. Well, this says here to strip off every weight that slows you down. And what might that be? Well, maybe it's your tendency to think you're not worthy, that you're not good enough. Maybe it's a tendency to overreact. Maybe it's a tendency to think the worst on the first thought. Maybe it's resentment that you're holding. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's a need for revenge. Maybe it's something simple like procrastination. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is in your life. You do. Think about it. You can figure it out pretty quickly. But whatever it says, get rid of it. Strip it off. Get rid of that stuff. It says, especially the sin that really trips us up. Now, the writer here doesn't tell us what that sin is. And I think the purpose is that he wants us to look at our own lives and figure out what is it that's our sin that so easily trips us up. In other words, each one of us may have something different. And he encourages us to find it and get rid of it. So I invite you to think about your life. What is it that constantly trips you up from walking with God the way you want to? I don't know what yours is, but you do, even if you don't really want to admit it. So admit it when nobody else is around and nobody will hear you. It's only God that matters anyway. And then he says, we do this. Now, why do we do all this? He says, and let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. You see, God has a race, a purpose for you and for me. For my son, the race was get to the finish line as fast as you could. And I remember one time his coach fussed at him. He ran the 400 meters. That's one time around the whole track. And you're supposed to run it at full speed. And I remember the coach telling one time, he says, you took off, you took 2 strides off coming off that corner. You weren't working as hard as you could, and that's why you lost. And I remember thinking, my goodness, how many strides does he take? He can't even slow down for 2 of them. But no. He had a race to win. You and I have a purpose to fulfill. Yours is different than mine. Mine's different from the next guy, and so on and so forth. And nobody can fill the purpose the way we can. You can. I can. Because we are especially gifted for that purpose that God has set in front of us. So then he says, and we do this. So how do we do this? And we do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. I don't know if it was a song or phrase going through my head. Keep your eyes on the prize. I remember hearing that. I'm not real sure why. Maybe you remember, and that means you got a better memory than I do in some cases. But we are to keep our eyes on Jesus. If you don't know how to think right, or you're not sure how you should respond, or you're not sure what you should say, or you're not sure how you should pray, go read the Gospels. See how Jesus did it. He's the example. And when you talk to athletes, they want to model their game after someone who is much, much better than they are. They're idols. They want to be like so and so. They want to shoot like so and so if it's basketball, or they want to run like so and so if it's a football halfback or something. They have a model out there that they keep trying to emulate. And that's what we're supposed to do with our lives in Jesus. Let him be the example. If you don't know what to do, then see what he would do. Whatever Jesus would do, then you do the same thing. If you need to forgive somebody, what would Jesus do? Just do it. You'd be surprised how much better life will be after the fact. Whether they respond to it or not, that doesn't mean anything. What matters is what you do. So this passage is telling us to use our faith to accomplish the race that God has set before us. Well, how you doing? How's that working out in your life? If it's not working as well as you'd like, okay, change it. It's really simple. Oh, I know it's really difficult too, and I know it's really complicated, but it really is simple. So I hope you'll think about that today. If you have a prayer concern or a need, just let us know. We'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you again.